everyone, and welcome to the Red Brick House. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I'm going to repair a hole in this beautiful green dress that I have right here. I think you've seen me wear it before. It's a beautiful, kind of a peasant. It's got a smocked front here at the top, at the bodice, and then just a lovely skirt. And it has a small hole in it from when I was holding my cat and something spooked him and he wanted down, and I was struggling to put him down because he's trying to jump out of my arms and I didn't want him to like fall, you know, and get hurt. Even though he's a cat, he can, usually they land on their feet, but you know, sometimes they don't. And so I was holding on to him and he made a hole in the side of my dress, and I was very, very sad because it's my favorite dress and I've only worn it maybe 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to attempt to repair that. And then I have this shirt here. It's a beautiful turquoise color. I just love the color. I tried it on in the store and it was a little bit shorter than what I wanted it to be, but I thought it would be okay. I had purchased it to wear with some leggings, and I don't know about you, but I really like for my shirts to cover my backside when I'm wearing leggings. And so I was hoping it would be okay. I sized up a little bit and bought the next size, thinking that maybe that would be a little bit longer, and it turns out it really wasn't that much longer. And then after I washed it, it shrunk probably about 1 inch. Even though it said it was tumble dry low, it still shrunk some. So I'm going to add a ruffle to the bottom of this shirt, and we'll see how it looks. Now I know I'm probably a little bit too old to be wearing ruffles, but you know what, I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway because I'm really never one to be really, you know, worried about fashion. So I know that if I don't do something to this shirt, it's just going to sit in my closet and not get used because I don't like the length of it. So that is an idea or something that you can do if you have something you've purchased and you're really not as happy with it as you thought you were going to be, that maybe you can find a way to change it so that it suits your needs and you like it better and you want to wear it. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. Here's the hole here. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's right here. I'll put my finger back here. So this fabric, it's a beautiful fabric. It has these little, I don't know what they're called, but it has this little embellishment in the fabric. And that's really right where the hole is. So right there. So there's all these little threads because they're threads out of these. And I really don't want to get rid of those because I'm hoping that'll cover up the fact that there's a hole. But I mean, it's a pretty big hole. So I have this other fabric over here. I have this. And this fabric was in like a charm pack. That's what it's called, that I bought. And it's pretty much the same color as this dress. I mean, it's very similar. And so my idea is that I'm going to cut out a piece from here, from this green fabric that doesn't have any printing on it. And then I'm going to use this. Well, I'm going to try to use it anyway. I found this stuff because I want something that will kind of, I can stick these threads to, I guess, if that makes sense. That was my thinking because you know, it's not the exact same color and it might show worse if I cut all these threads off. I'm afraid that you'll see the patch more than you would if I just leave those threads there. So I don't know, this stuff, I've never used it before. It's really kind of interesting. You're supposed to use it as a hem, and it is an iron-on adhesive, and it kind of feels like interfacing. And I'm hoping that I can use this, and I'm hoping it won't show white underneath here. I'm okay if it's kind of opaque because, like I said, I'm going to try to attach these little threads to this adhesive here. That's kind of my plan, and then it won't show. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So first I need to turn this dress inside out, I think, so that I can see here where I want to put the patch. I looked for patches that were kind of, and they had some that were kind of the same color. They were like an army green kind of color, and which was fine, but it wasn't the same. But I probably could have used that as well. But I like to experiment with things. I mean, if this doesn't work out or it looks bad, I'll just have to find another way to do it, you know? So here's the hole. I got the hole again right here. And you can see it better on this side. And I'm going to put my fabric up here, and I'm going to just cut a little piece out of this green here. Let me move this so you can see. Okay. That might be easier for you guys to see. So I'm just going to kind of cut around here. I'm going to cut that out. Not trying to make any particular shape. Just trying to get enough that I can stick this to it. Okay. Now, I believe that I'm going to take this. Okay. So I'm just going to take a patch of this. And I can feel the glue dots on here. Like there's kind of a rough side to this, and then there's kind of a smooth side. So I'm going to put this rough side. I was hoping it would glue on both sides, but it might not, so it might not work. I don't know, I'll have to see. Maybe I'm gonna put this rough side down on here. And I'm gonna put this fabric over top of it. And then we're gonna go and see what happens with the iron. So I'm gonna just iron this down like that. Actually, I think I'm gonna cut it so it's more the same size as my fabric here. Something like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go give this a press, and we'll see if that glues both sides or just the one side. I think it's gonna be just the one side, but it would be great if it actually adheres both sides. So I'm gonna leave that just like that, and I will go iron that. All right, I've ironed it on, and it feels, I don't want to mess with it too much, but it feels like the whole thing is secure. So maybe it is kind of double-sided with the adhesive. So that's going to be fantastic if this works, because you can patch anything like that with any color you want, and in just a little bitty piece of that. So that worked well. So I'm really happy with it. I'm going to wait until it's completely set before I kind of see if I can remove this or see if it falls off, but it feels secure to me right now. So I'm going to come back to this when I'm finished with my shirt, and we'll take another look at it. So now I'm going to work on the shirt. So let me move this out of the way. And here is my shirt. And this is the fabric. I already had this fabric, but this is the fabric I'm going to use for this shirt. It's a little bit lighter in color, but I think it blends really well. On camera it looks a little bit darker than in person, but I think it will work. It's the same, you know, color tones and stuff. So I just happened to have this from some other project I did. I don't even remember what it was, but I cut 2 long strips. I'm not sure how, I can't tell you how long, I'm not sure how long they are, but I have 2 strips here that I'm gonna have to get my sewing machine out here, and I'm gonna sew them together. So one will be the front and one will be the back. So I'm gonna sew this side together, and then I'm gonna sew these sides together with using right sides together. And I'm going to make just like one big circle. So let me put these right sides together. And sometimes, you guys, when I'm sewing, sometimes I don't even pin things. I mean, I might want to pin this because I need to pin both of them. But sometimes, a lot of times, I don't pin stuff. I just hold it. So I'm going to sew that together. And then I'll show you what it looks like before I start gathering it. Okay, now I have sewn these together, as you can see here. I've sewn these together, and now I just have like one continuous ring. And now I'm going to do the hem. So to do the hem, I'm just going to, I'm going to press these seams out first. I'm going to press them out like that. I'm going to press them out like that. And then I'm going to just fold this under like that, like maybe a 1/4 of an inch, and then fold it over again and make a hem. Okay, now I'm ready to sew my hem down. And like I said, a lot of times I don't even use pins. I just iron it. So the way I was taught was to iron it down the length that you want, and then to fold it under like that, and then iron it again. But I don't do that anymore. I just fold it like this, and I iron it down, and then I go all the way around, and then I fold it over again where I want it, and then I do that. And then all I do is I just sew it. I just sew it down. And I'm going to line it up with my presser foot so I can try to keep a very straight edge. This is a very thin, I think about a 1/4 inch seam. Maybe a little less than that in places because I'm not exact. You know me by now. I just eyeball things most of the time. And so, but I want to keep that stitch right on that edge. Right on the edge. Let me show you. So I want to sew it right here on this edge where it connects to this one. But since this is the bottom of a shirt, I wanted it to be very small. I wanted the hem to be very small. So here we go. Okay, so there we have it, a nice seam edge here. Uh-oh, See, sometimes that happens. Let me know if that happens to you. I'm not really sure why that happens. It probably has something to do with my bobbin. Oh man, that's kind of disappointing. It's doing it ever so often. So I'm really not sure what causes that, if it's the tension on the bobbin. So if you know, if you can see that, how it's trying to nest a little bit on those seams. But that's okay. It is what it is. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to gather it. And to do that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to set my machine to the largest stitch possible. And I'm just going to sew straight across here. I'm not going to do any back stitching or anything. I'm just going to sew straight around. Okay. Okay, now here I'm not going to cut too close to this seam because I want to use these threads to pull together. So I'm going to leave a tail, kind of leave a tail hanging off of there like that. And then I can just pull it. So when I did the seaming, I should have started up here. I shouldn't have done it kind of the way I did it there. But what you want to do is you want to have your gathering kind of up close so that you can stitch right underneath it so that this line right here is not going to show in your final garment. So I think I sewed it about 1/4 inch. So now what I'm going to do is you have 2 threads here, one from the front and one from the back. It doesn't matter which one you pick, I have found, and you'll just pull. You'll just pull like that. And then as you can see, what's happening here, it's just gathering up like that. And so that's what you want to do. And then once you get it gathered, you can play around with it about where you need it on your garment. In my case, my shirt. So I'm going to do this, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how it looks and how I'm going to pin it on. Okay, I wanted to mention that when you're gathering, you're going to be making the fabric smaller. So you want to gather it where you think you're going to like it. You know, if you want like a really heavy ruffle or if you want just a very slight ruffle here. And so this is about how much I have gathered it. And it's a little bit too small for my shirt, for the edge of my shirt. And so I'm going to have to lengthen it out a little bit, kind of pull it to where it's not quite as gathered as what it is right now. And you just have to play around with that. I'm not really including any measurements in this video because it'll all be, if you were going to do this, it'll be tailored to, you know, your size of shirts and how much you want it to ruffle and how much fabric you have and things like that. So it's kind of all subjective. So I'm going to just keep working on this, and then I will come back when I have it all ready to put on the garment. Okay, so now I'm back with my ruffle and I'm ready to attach it to my shirt. So what I did is I turned my shirt inside out, and then my ruffle is also inside out. And what you want to do is you want to line up your side seam, like right here. You want to line up this side seam with the side seam of your shirt. So I'm going to start on this side, so it's kind of hard to see. But I want, oops, There we go. I want this, we're here right where I stitched. I want it to lay right here where this is stitched. That way when you flip it over, this edge right here will be on top of the ruffle. The ruffle will lay underneath it. So let's see if I can do that. So I'm going to line up my seam to seam, the side seam to the side seam, and that stitching to that stitching right there. I hope you can see that. And then I'm going to pin it. This is where I do use the pins. So I'm going to pin that in place. Because when I sew it on, I want my stitching to be right in the hem of this shirt so it's not visible. And so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to keep pinning around until I get the entire shirt pinned together. It is a little fiddly, I'm not going to lie. Because you have to, also with the shirt being a knit and stretchy, I'm trying not to stretch it as I go. And you can always check it as you go as well. You can always like make sure that you're going into the seam where you want to go. Okay, just like that. So I'm going to continue to do that all the way around. So you can see here how I have it pinned on to the shirt, and I'm just going to sew along. Now when I sew it, I want to make sure that I am just on this side, if you can see here, just on this side of this little seam, because I don't want to sew on top of it and then you can see this from the other side. But it will be underneath here. It will be under here. So I don't think it's going to matter that much. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to start to sew that. I'm just going to sew it all the way around. Start there. Okay, we're all ready here. I wanted to mention really quick that before you start sewing, always make sure that you changed your sewing machine back to your regular stitching, because we moved it up to make a big stitch for the gathering. So always make sure you go back and you turn it back down again, because I have done that multiple times, and then I realize as I'm going, I'm like, oh no, my stitches are way too big. So just a little tip there. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to go slow on this because it's kind of tricky to kind of maneuver it, and you have all those pins in there and you don't want to stretch your t-shirt fabric. So, and then sometimes I kind of even want to check to make sure that I am sewing in the right place. I'm going to take this pin out because I think it's pulled the fabric a little bit. There we go. Yep, see? So just go slow. It takes a while, but you'll get there. I'm just going to stop when I get to my next pin. Check again, make sure that the fabric is not shifted on you or that the shirt is not stretched. And we'll just keep going. Okay, so now I have finished the shirt, and I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But I also wanted to show you this. So this is the patch that I put on, and if I rub my fingers over it, it bonded both sides of that. It bonded the fabric, this patch that I put on, this fabric, and then it bonded that to the dress. So that's awesome. So I'm going to turn it right side out, and let's see what the hole looks like on the other side. And hopefully it won't be very noticeable. The reason I did it this way is because I was afraid if I tried to stitch it that it might pucker or it would be more noticeable. And so let's see, can you find it? Can you see the hole? I can see it. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. I'll hold it up. But there it is. Right there. So, I mean, if you're looking for it, if you're looking for a hole, you probably see it. But I think that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I wanted all those little frayed edges to just kind of get stuck down, and they did. They're not coming off. So that's fantastic. I'm really happy with that. Okay, now for the shirt. Okay, so here's the shirt. I'm sorry you can't see my head, but it's a small room. But I love it. I think it's really cute. I'm glad it's a little bit big now because it just kind of flows more like a tunic, and it's not too terribly ruffly. Like, I was afraid it was going to be, like, I didn't want it to be little girl looking, but I think it's cute. It kind of reminds me, if you're familiar with the company Matilda Jane, it kind of reminds me of their style of clothing. And so I love it. I'm really happy with it. So you want to start by measuring your shirt across. So you would lay this out flat, and then you would measure across here, or the bottom of the shirt, the widest part of the shirt. That's where you want to measure it. And then what I did is I took that number and doubled it for the back side as well. And then I added about 1 to 2 inches. I mean, you can kind of add as much as you want depending on how ruffly you want your shirt to be. Mine is not going to be too terribly ruffly, but that's how I got the size of the ruffle that I wanted to add to this shirt. That's what I did. I measured it, and then I added 1 inch, because really that's all that I had to work with this particular fabric, because it was leftover. So I didn't have enough material to add any extra, but it works. So I would say if you're going to put a ruffle on, you want it to gather, I would add at least 1 inch to your fabric, to your measurements for your fabric down here. Now for the ruffle, to get this distance, what I did is I put the shirt on, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I kind of gauged it where I wanted it to be. And that's how you can decide how long you want this ruffle to be. Like I said, this was leftover fabric, so I didn't have a ton of fabric to work with. And mine kind of worked out perfectly. I think mine was about 7 inches is what I cut originally, and then I also hemmed it. So that's how I got that measurement. Okay, well there you have it. I'm really happy with the shirt, and I'm really happy how the dress turned out. So let me know, how would you have mended the dress? What would you have done to the shirt to make it different? Let me know. I love to hear ideas and new suggestions. So like and subscribe if you want to. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.